Done. Repeat it over several days. That's going to give you success. All right, here's what he said in Atomic Habits. You can see here on the chart, just a 1% improvement every day. Look what it does. But if you have a 1% decline, look what it does over time. So what happens is that if you can even get 1% better each day, then by the end of the year, you will be 37 times better. That's a mathematical formula. But if you do 1% worse each day, or you're fighting fires every day and that kind of thing, then you're declining almost to zero. And look at the math. So 1% worse every day for 1 year is 0.99 to the power of 365 days equals 0.03. So you're almost at zero. But 1% better every day is 1.01 to the power of 365 days, 37.7. It's almost 38 times better. It's a mathematical formula. It's the inches that count. All right, so here's the science of how habits works. This is how you can get into momentum and start doing something that you're not used to doing so you can upgrade to Brain 2.0. So a habit works like this. There's a cue. Something happens in the world. You get a craving, right? That's the emotion. You get a craving for wanting a certain thing, right? Then you respond to it in a way that you're taking an action. And then based on that action, you'll get a reward. That's how the emotional brain works, right? The cue triggers the brain to initiate that behavior. It's linked to a craving. It's the first hint that we're close to a reward. When you get that sometimes they say the craving itself is a more powerful emotional feeling than actually satiating it with whatever the reward is. So if you're craving that cookie, the act of wanting that cookie and desiring that cookie and seeing that cookie and opening the box and smelling it and all that whole process is much more visceral than the act of, eating it. So once you're finished, it's like, oh, okay, well, that wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, right? And so then craving is linked to a desire to change your internal state. The response is your actual habit you perform consciously or unconsciously. A lot of times it is unconsciously. Depends on how motivated you are for that reward and how much friction there is to taking the action to get that reward. So a lot of times the action that we go to take, the response that we go to take, there's a lot that has to be done and you just don't know how to get started and you just don't feel like doing it. So you don't do it and there's too much friction and then you don't get the reward. So the way to make things happen is to tap into that. And the way that I have found is there's a couple of trigger points that you can use to get yourself going. But what I have found is the best one, the one that has the longest lasting effect, is that whatever you're doing, have joy in that moment. It's something I learned from Sadhguru, Inner Engineering. He said, if we can, as a human population, if we could just be in the here and now and whatever's going on right now, just have joy and love for it, we would not be the mental crazy people that we are. Because when we go outside of what's happening right now, which is inevitable, whatever's happening right now, it's inevitable. So you might as well enjoy it while it's going on. But when you go outside of that and when you start wishing for something else, or you start wishing for a different outcome, or you start looking to the happily ever after horizon, that's when mental craziness starts happening. And that's when we get caught up in addictions. And addictions don't have to be just drugs, alcohol, exercise could be an addiction. What else? You just get addicted to certain things. And then what ends up happening is you get into the fight or flight mode of just being busy doing whatever it is that you do, right? And that's an addiction in itself. So the more you habitualize your responses, the less friction, so the more likely you will be to perform those actions. The response delivers a reward, which is the end goal of every habit. So your brain constantly scans for rewards that teach us what is worth remembering in the future when we want that reward again. Looking for actions to satisfy your desires and deliver that pleasure again. So here's the habit loop, right? There's a trigger, right? That's a reminder that the signal us into some routine. Then we do the routine, which is the habit itself, could be good or bad, and then we get a reward, positive feedback to close that loop, and then we keep on going on that loop. So habit loops, decide the type of person that you want to be, right? The identity, who you want to become, or based on what you stand for. What's your visceral gut telling you that you want to do in life? And be that type of person who keeps their commitments, right? If you make a promise to yourself, you don't even have to make a promise to somebody else. You've made a promise to yourself to be this person. Keep that commitment, because if you break it, you're telling yourself that it's okay to not do that. And that's programming a different habit. So be the type of person who gives service to others, and the type of person who is great at let's say you want sales, right? There's an example. State it as though it has already happened, right? So I'm, you know, working on da 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 exercise to become to get more sales and to help more people, kind of thing. So you're stating it as though it's already happening, and so that karmically imprints onto you as though it's happening, and then you move into that much stronger. Prove it to yourself with small daily wins. That's that 1%. Do the habit each day and set your intention for the day with your identity-based statement. So if you set your intention that's grounded into your identity and your beliefs and what you stand for and what you want to become and what you want to do based on that person that you admire, then do something every day that proves to yourself that that's the person you want to become. So you're getting a small win. You don't have to get something big. You don't have to be like wildly successful. Just do some small 1% thing towards it. And that's proving to yourself karmically. All right, so a simple exercise for you to do today is just start something simple. I started doing this 7 years ago when I learned from Michael Burnoff through an event called Core Strength. And he taught us that the way to get into habits is start doing one little thing. And then you start to feel good about it. And then you start layering more habits, right? Habit stacking, which is something that James Clear talks about in Atomic Habits. So just start by making your bed every day. Maybe you already do that, I don't know. But that's how I started. And I cleaned my desk. I layered that, and I just kept stacking habit after habit after habit. And when you get into the habit of doing habits and stacking more and more and more habits, you get addicted to the outcome that those habits are giving to you, right? Cue, craving, response, reward. And so doing simple habits get you into the momentum. Don't pick something big, because when you pick something big, just like your New Year's resolution, you'll maybe do it for a few days, but you always come off it. So if you want long-lasting change, start with small ones. Right? When you can layer a few small ones, that's better. It's better to layer 5 or 6 small things that you start to do over time than trying to do some big thing that you're going to, you know, probably not have long-lasting effects on. All right. So make a promise to yourself that you're going to do that. Make that karmic imprint. So this is just a simple exercise to start building the karmic imprint in your subconscious, that you're the kind of person that you can count on. You can count on yourself